Chodesh Tov, everybody. We are entering the fantastic month of Chodesh Sivan, which is a fantastic auspicious month where we receive the Torah from Har Sinai. And it's interesting, the Chag of Shavuot, we read the Sefer of Megillat Ruth, one of the 5 Megillot, and that is to see the lineage of King David HaMelech. David HaMelech on the 4th of Sivan was born and had passed away on the 6th of Sivan, which happens to be the Chag of Shavuot, Chag Matan Torah. King David wrote the 150 Psalms, the vast majority of the book of Tehillim, and they compiled it together. And it's interesting, during this time period of Shavuot, it was actually Moshe Rabbeinu that actually went up to Har Sinai and went up to the clouds to communicate with God all the secrets of the Torah. And he went up several times for 40 days and 40 nights, naturally. And this very much has connection to King David, and I'll tell you in a minute. Within regards to the 40 days, why not the number 40? So we see there's a pattern in the whole Torah, Nevi'im and Ketuvim of the number 40. Firstly, in the Gemara, in the Talmud, it states that it takes 40 days in order for when a woman conceives for it to form into a baby in its own right, symbolizing change itself. We see when God told Noah to enter the ark and all his sons and all the animals, he wanted to make a change to the world, to flood the whole world. So he gave a very, very strong, massive rain and thunder for 40 days, and that came about a change. We learn that when a woman goes inside the ritual bath, the mikveh, when she goes inside there, afterwards a spiritual change comes in. This is in the monthly cycle. We see other forms of the number 40. We see that in the Talmud it talks about that if someone gets into trouble and is taken to Bet Din, the Jewish court of law, the punishment he would receive would be 40 lashes minus 1. Hence, but it uses the number 40 because they hope that there'll be a change in his midot, his characteristics, after this punishment will come about. Another place, it says in the Talmud, in Tractate Sota, in page 22, that if someone was, in order for someone to acquire the greatness of Torah and to be able to instruct with total clarity, one has got to be learning for 40 years potentially. And this also is brought about in the Zohar, I believe. But so this is also featured in Sota 22. So what's interesting is this change which we want to bring on ourselves, it very much represents King David. The whole of his life, he worked on himself to make an incredible amount of change. He wrote the whole of Tehillim with all the trials and turbulations he suffered from. He was able to write it at its maximum. And we see that there's a concept in the Zohar that if you were to daven for something specific, say some Tehillim even, for 40 days consecutively, the prayers could be answered. And there's an interesting story where there was a woman that hadn't got married yet and was desperately looking for her spouse, for her husband. And she was told, she heard about that Zohar, and she was told to daven 40 days consecutively. So she went to the Kotel and davened there some Tehillim 40 days running. And it was actually on the 40th day after she'd finished her tefillot, the Shadchan had called her up, and shortly after she went out with what was to be her husband. So, just by the number 40 we see that there was a change. And that very much represents David HaMelech. He was the king of Am Yisrael for 40 years before he had passed away at the age of 70. And we commemorate Chag Shavuot because of King David. So may we all bring about a change, motivate ourselves this month. It's a fantastic month. We're going to come into Shavuot. And I wish you all a fantastic Rosh Chodesh. This I'm dedicating to my wife's sister-in-law, Ahuva Bat Hiri Achaya, that sadly passed away a couple of weeks back. So I wish you all a fantastic Rosh Chodesh and a Chag Sameach for Chag Shavuot. Thanks very much.